okay, we set it up to where the weekends were on the same weekend, so it was just me and him every other weekend. Well, I think the lady caught on because, of course, she had to throw a monkey wrench in there. So now we're back to we have the kids all the time. I'm not complaining. We're learning to cope with it. But I'm saying if you step parents and you mom and dads would come together, this shit could work out. You could have you a free babysitter. Now, I'm not saying have them all the time. I think the best time I had, and I wish I had stayed with it, was when my ex-husband and I had the week on, week off custody, because that gave the kids the best of both worlds. Now, going through the beginning of it, I thought you're never going to give them any kind of a schedule. They're never going to get on a routine. My kids are not going to do this. I thought the judge was a freaking idiot because they're going from two different households. You're packing up weeks at a time stuff. And I don't mean to bring up, but Daddy's Home too, if you get a chance to watch that, that's similar to how you should honestly have a co-parenting relationship. Yes, it's a movie. Yes, it's not reality. But it could be if we all would get our heads out of our asses, to be honest with you, because I am a stepmom and I make mistakes, okay? And who don't? We're all human. But we've all got to work together because you're raising the future generation. You're not always going to be here, but you are their example of what an adult is or should be like. So this crazy lady, known as his ex-wife, has went back as far as finding my exes all the way back to high school, sending messages, that my husband's abusing my kids and blah, blah, blah. Well, she's accused my husband of some stuff that is off the chain. Well, we go to court and she admits to lying in court. Okay, so how do you think his kids took this? Because his kids, she's not only just telling the court, she's out here running around. We live in a small town, running her mouth about this gossip. Well, guess what? The gossip gets back to the kids. His kids are not in like elementary school. His kids are in middle school and high school. So how does that work? Well, say Tommy hears his mom and dad discussing what this lady has accused my husband of. And then Tommy runs back and tells one of my stepsons come home and says, you and Dad's been having to go to court for blah, blah, blah. We have to explain, yes, but. And he says, I know it's a lie. That's what she always does. So, once again, it goes back to baby mama drama. And I have to explain, do you think it's okay to go and lie just because you're not getting your way? And he says, no, it's not. Well, okay, then don't do it. Okay, well then, a few weeks later, some stuff happens at school. He doesn't tell us. We get a letter, an email from the teacher, and I say, okay, why did this happen? And he says, well, I just didn't want to do it. Well, why did you tell us that you did it? Well, and then it clicks in, oh, well, apparently he has gotten that example. Tell a lie to get what you want. And that's like with the big explosions. One of them, we get to church and he doesn't want to stay at church, so he causes a scene in the middle of church. And he's a teenager. Like I said, he's not a baby. So we go out and we explain, take your tail back in there, sit down, shut up, deal with it. And by the way, you're grounded. Okay, then in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, this lady showed her tail in front of him and made this big explosion in public to try to get her way. Did it get her way? No, because I didn't leave. I didn't do what she wanted. But that's the example they get. Now, in front of my kids, should I have had the explosion with their stepmom? No, I shouldn't have. I really should have probably handled that a lot differently. I definitely shouldn't have shoved her. But now the time that I did intervene when she hit my son, I don't know if I could have handled that differently. I'm not even gonna lie. I probably could have. I really could have, because I should have just called the police for assault. But, I did not. And that's what we've got to remember, as we throw up tantrums, so to speak, and act a fool and be a baby mama, we are not being examples for these children as to how they should act. And that's what we've got to do. We've got to teach them that in life, sometimes, here's what I learned. As my dad used to say, sometimes you have to eat shit and learn to like it, just to keep from having a scene or having problems. Does that mean you've got to do it all the time? No, you don't. But you've got to choose your battles. And when it comes down to it, yeah, sometimes you're going to feel like the bad guy, and sometimes you're going to have people talk. But as my best friend Denny Contras used to say, just tell them to kiss your ass. You do what you feel like is going to be the best for the kids. And who cares what everybody else thinks? Unless you got a court order saying don't do that or do that. Do what your gut tells you to do. I don't care what nobody tells you. Gut parenting is the best way to go. If you feel like in your gut that kid's doing something behind your back, if they're a teenager, they probably are. So you better get in there and do something quick, or you gonna be a grandma or a grandpa. But that's what we've got to remember. You've got to come together. You've got to work together for these children. You think about your childhood. Now, a lot of people don't have that great of a childhood, I know. But if you were a child, if that was you, what would you want? Would you want to worry about mom saying this about dad, or dad saying this about mom? It's like my stepson told me, and I thought this was the cutest thing. He said, you don't talk about my mama. And I said, okay, that's cool. I'm not. And he says, you got to understand, she might be the B word, but she's still my mama, and I can say it, but you can't say it. I said, that's cool. I can live with that. And he said, and mom's not going to be talking about you either. Well, that wasn't true, and that's caused a lot of problems. The kids hate going over there. But I mean, that was like, as they say, a light bulb moment for me, because I thought that's exactly how it is. You let the kids vent respectfully. Now, I'm not saying let them call them the WHO word that I just wouldn't call a girl that for nothing in the world. You let them vent, like I said, respectfully about the other parent, but don't you have an opinion, because if you have an opinion, that makes you the bad guy. They just want an ear. They want someone to talk to vent to, that's unbiased. Because in a divorce, the kids feel like they have to take sides sometimes, and they should not. You should give them that freedom. And my 13-year-old, he says, Mom, why couldn't you and Dad start getting along years ago? My life would have been so much easier. And I said, you want me to tell you why? I said, to be honest with you, I never knew what it was like to be a stepmom, and I thought that your stepmom was trying to step on my toes. I didn't realize that she was just trying to take care of you. And he said, wow, Mom, you've grown up. I thought, well, thanks a lot. I'm almost 40 years old. I guess I have. And I said, well, I'm sorry that I made your childhood chaotic, because, I mean, there's things that I did. Now, I'm not saying I went crazy. I didn't slice nobody's tires or anything like that, but I did make it hard, and I shouldn't have. Like, there's times that I really should have paid for stuff that I didn't, just because I wanted to piss her off and make her have to pay for it, so maybe she would leave so I could raise my kids. Looking back at it, like I tell them all the time, I do owe her an apology, because I took away from my kids, and I shouldn't have. And I probably took away from her kids, because she was having to take care of my kids without the child support. But instead, I wanted to punish my ex-husband for taking my money, So I took his money and didn't pay the child support like I should have. But, there's, how do they say, three sides to every story? Well, in this case, it's time that more adults in divorce relationships think about you've got to co-parent. If you want to think about this, since divorce rates have risen, so has violence in school, and so has, the children with the bullying and all that. And I'm not saying it's because there are more divorces. I cannot say anything. This is my fourth marriage, and the previous marriages I jumped into too soon, to be honest with you. But I'll never forget my grandfather. He didn't know I was being beat on in my second marriage. But he said, the problem with you kids these days is y'all don't try to fix nothing. You just run away from your problems. And I said, Papa, there's things you don't know, but I think that I need to get out. Well, when Papa found out what he didn't know, yeah, he was not a happy camper. But it is true what they say, we've got to learn to fix stuff and we've got to learn to work at it. And working at co-parenting is the best rate to go. There's times I'll give you, for instance, and then I will get off the air and give you back your home life, as they say. But I did not want to invite the kid's mom to their birthday party because, like I said, she always causes a scene, screaming, hollering, and I don't like drama. I hate drama. Well, they also had a restraining order against her husband to where he couldn't be around the kids for some reasoning. And of course, she shows up at the birthday party with him. And I say to my husband, I'm like, let's just cancel the party. I'll email everybody, apologize, and we won't even worry about it. He said, no, the boys wanted their mama there. She's there. He said, it's time that I be a man for my kids. Because the boys were crying, please don't cause a scene. Please don't call the police. I want my birthday party. They had one of their family members coming they wanted to see. And he said, I won't do anything if he doesn't do anything. And he said, we're going to be the bigger people. So that day, we didn't cause a scene. We went and had the birthday party. Of course, she wanted to be a bitch and tried to pour ice cream on my stepson's new sneakers. And her husband stepped up and he said, hey, you need to chill out. And he says, you need to sit down. And I wasn't even going to say nothing. I just looked at her. But he got her back on her leash right quick. And I thought, wow, so these two are coming together. So maybe I can. Well, do I try? Yeah, I just can't speak to her. Sometimes the best way to treat people is by not treating them, but allowing them to be around. How are things going to go with my stepsons? I have no clue. But we're taking it one day at a time, and that's what you've got to do. I've read a lot of questions on the step-parenting websites that the main question is, do I need to leave? Do I need to get out of this marriage? Am I making things worse? And there's so many times I ask myself that same question because, like I said, it is not sunshine and rainbows. Combining a family is the hardest thing I have ever done in my life. And would I change it? No, because it's making me a better person. And like I said, I love these kids. And they're not mine. Yes, I do realize that, but I love them as much as I love mine. Because if it came down to it, would I lay my life down for one of them? You damn skippy if it come down to me or them. Because they're my family. And that's what we all have to think of. I would probably do the same thing for my ex-husband's stepkids too, to be honest with you, because I've been around them for years, and I like to give them hugs and squishy cheeks as much as I'll do my own. His wife, she doesn't allow me to buy them gifts. I used to try to buy them gifts when I bought my kids gifts, but she said if she wants them to have a gift, she will buy it herself. I'm hoping we can get through that. I've got to where where I couldn't used to talk to my ex without screaming. Now he and I, we take and we go out to eat, me and his family as well.